morning to everyone. Yeah, so it's always a pleasure to come to uh, this home of mine, and I've been attending the IFA Galaxy event every year, I think mostly. Thanks to Mr. Narayanan, his mentorship has made all of you all, create wealth for your investors, and this platform has become so large that all of us aspire to come at the beginning of the year and share our thoughts with all our partners. Today also I'll try to link up what Mr. Naren also did mention in my presentation. Some bit of linkage will be there, but idea is that how do we reset our business? How do you look at our business from here on? Because the theme of this event also is very, very important. For the next 10 years, how do we elevate ourselves? How do you learn from the learnings which we have from the businesses, what we have done in the last few years, and then excel from here on. So that's why my theme of this today's presentation is preparedness meets opportunity, which is very, very important. We have a huge opportunity in front of us. I'll quickly get into some bit on, just to set the context. Numbers are very important so that we just think through our businesses from a numerical point of view. This is where the industry stands today. All of us that have done a great job in leading the industry towards a 70 lakh crore AUM. I think we should have a big round of applause for all of us. This industry is really, really becoming large because of the MFD support which the industry has got. The biggest important reason for the growth is the number of folios. And this is where I think all of you all in your business practices, as we go ahead from here on, if you have to really excel, the number of folios is very important. The number of clients you bring on board is also very important. And that will lead you to make your business very, very strong in times to come. Because India's growth is going to be humongous. This is something which I will try to link up as we go ahead. In this journey of creating assets for the industry, what has happened is somewhere the skewness of the asset allocation in the industry is moving towards a slightly riskier zone. And if all of us can see the data, we are trending towards a high equity oriented asset class in the asset mix. We are forgetting that we are asset allocators. We are distributors who are supposed to manage the behavior and the expectation of the investor. Somewhere down the line, some asset classes have got forgotten, and that's why the skewness towards a particular asset class is becoming very, very stark. SIP book is growing. Keep an eye on what Mr. Naren also did mention. Your SIP book has grown very fast, but it is plateauing. A plateauing of the SIP book is not good for the industry. It can result in, we having SIP discontinuation, stoppages, if you don't handle the investor rightly. What happens to the MFD business? We saw the industry business, and this is where all of you all have contributed to the growth of the industry. It is growing very fast. If industry grew at 5.5 times, MFD business has grown by 8.5 times. It's a big jump. Now, but I would like to draw your attention to this slide, which is the most important thing which really made me think through when I was making this presentation, that if 72% has moved to 89% and the debt portion has moved from 24 to 9, definitely there is a case for the MFDs to look at your businesses more minutely, because the risk part of your portfolio, if industry is at 60, you all are at 89, it doesn't make sense, that definitely there is a need for us to look at our business holistically. I'll come to that how part in the subsequent part of my presentation. SIP book is growing. Of course, like all of us know, the skewness towards a particular category of SIPs is also enlarging. The sector SIPs are becoming very, very large in the industry. Time for all of us to relook at our business models when it comes to SIP also. I think I was just talking to my colleague, asset allocation in SIPs is also a very important thing. We will start thinking about that as we go ahead. We don't talk about asset allocation in SIPs. Now, what has happened, in this journey, and this is food for thought for all of you all. I'll now show you what are the various business models which have emerged, and all of you all have been successful. but the degree of success differs and changes basis the business models all of you all have adopted. Now, this is the learning of mine, over the last many years. The multiple business models which are now running in the IFA and the MFD fraternity are, these. You start small, you maybe, you're not investing in your business, so you continue to, grow your business with that model. You start moving into a mid-sized office model which has got back office. You start expanding your product bouquet. You bring in bit of research in your business. You start adding manpower. And then you start moving into a large office which has got a large infrastructure which you want to manage with more people. And there is this model also which is now becoming very prominent in the industry, where many of our distributors, some of them are in this room, have created businesses which have got large teams. They are enlarging, they are expanding to various parts of India. Time has come now to please start thinking on which part of the business model you want to be from a long-term perspective. Our business is very, very long-term. If 10 years is the plan which all of us need to look at, this business will remain for infinite. For remaining infinite, you all have to think through that from individual to becoming a businessman, an entrepreneur in the true sense, where you should go and lead your journey towards. A lot of models are there in the market. You have to start learning from the experiences of your colleagues who are here and start, probably, saying that, yes, in the next 5 years, I'll be here. In the next 10 years, I will move in this direction. Why are we talking about this thing? Some data points which I'll try to share here, you might be privy to that, but there's a huge opportunity in front of us. This opportunity we should not miss. India is progressing digitally. India is progressing on knowledge, on education. The growth and the delta change which is going to happen in the next 10 years is going to be humongous. The type of population shift which is going to come in the middle income is, very, very different. Today we are a pyramid. It is going to be a belly-shaped model in 10 years' time. 25 crore people are going to come in the 25 to 40 age bracket in the next 10 years. It's not joke. That 25 crore, how do you cater? If you don't have a business model which is large, if you don't think large, you cannot cater to that population which is going to come in. All these data points are known to us. The demographic shift is happening. Every parameter, India is growing. From bank accounts to Jan Dhan accounts, etc., etc. This is a very important chart, which I have been presenting for the last 6 months in all the forums. We tried to narrow down the opportunity scope because in the room here, as well as when we talk to any of the distributors, we feel that the bank deposit growth is stagnating. That is not the case, friends. We have plotted district by district bank deposit growth, and this is a rolling number which we keep publishing to our team. On a 12 months basis, on a 6 months basis, every state, every district, there is a deposit growth which is happening. If you are from Salem, Erode, Chennai, you go to any part of India, we are seeing growth happening. Now, if that growth is happening very, very stark, are we moving the direction towards thinking how to make our businesses grow? Why is the deposit base growing? Because the investors' risk appetite is also very different. We are giving them risky business. They still want to go and put money in deposits where they feel the risk is low. Understand investor behavior. Investor is not like us. We are in this business, but the investor is different. Okay? And data shows very clearly deposit growth is happening in a big manner. How do we capture these opportunities? I think 3 things very important. Investing in infrastructure, which I did mention. Client management is important, but the third leg is very important, behavioral bias. We are in this behavioral bias. NFOs come, we flock towards NFOs. If there is a sector movement, we are moving that. Understand your client, understand your business. Don't go by the flow of the traffic. Go by the flow of the understanding of your client. Because client's AUM, which is what you manage. Their trust is what you manage. Now, what is it that we need to do? And this is very important, what I want you all to just capture. One-man army is only good for movies, right? We all see movies. There's one hero which is there which creates everything. But in our business, one-man army does not work. All these factors will come and impact our business if we don't make our business strong from a futuristic point of view. All these things are very important. You decide where you want to be. You want to build a team, you want to build a brand. Can I ask a question? How many of us in this room still carry an ARN with an individual name? Individual ARNs. So 80% of you all are still carrying. Move from individual to corporatized business model that will help you to start thinking different. Manish and me, we are colleagues in the, and of course we are part of ARN committee. The new ARN names which are coming are all business names which are coming, which is very important for us to think that if we are already in a mindset which we don't want to change, you have to start changing because world around us is changing. Build your team, have various platforms to make your business very, very strong, okay? It is time has come that you invest in our business. In our business, CapEx is not done. You know, we talk about manufacturers are not putting money for CapEx in India. We are also not putting money for CapEx in our business. How will CapEx happen? Our CapEx is all about manpower, office, brand, you know, all that stuff which is there on this chart here. Knowledge. I think knowledge is very, very critical. Upgrade yourself, upskill yourself because new things is going to come from the mutual fund industry. Investor will ask you 10 questions. We have to upskill ourselves. Upskilling is very important. It is part of development, self-development for the next 10, 15, 20 years. Other factor is client management. I think acquisition of clients is very important. I truly believe that if you have to get that 25 crore new clients, and when I do dipstick myself, going to a lot of places where I go and try to understand whether the SIP, basic SIP understanding is there, it is not there today, friends, in the markets. If we don't go and create new clients and we don't go and educate them the right way, you know, the wrong things will start happening. They'll get into crypto, etc., etc. There is a very important need for us to acquire new investors. The other thing which I think is very important, one side is acquisition. Second part is go deep into your client and understand your client. This 80-20 rule, which all of us try to follow in our practice, and it happens. You just go back into your own apps and your brokerage structures today. 20% of your revenue is 80% of your revenue is coming from 20% clients. You tend to forget that 80% clients, thinking that they are small investors. Now that small investor has grown in life, but because you have not connected, that investor goes and participates DIY, or someone else is doing servicing the client, or the client doesn't come into the capital market, and no one is guiding them. Time has come to go deep into your own client. Try to go deep into the relationship. Hence, moving the entire business model towards understanding the client. Deepen the family tree. When you go and talk to the client, the family tree starts coming in. I have had many instances where father, son, are having different mindsets. Our MFD friends are not able to connect with the son because son has come from abroad with a different mindset. They want something else in their journey. So it is very important to understand the needs of your investor and then deepen the relationship with them. Behavioral bias. Keep the client in center, friends. Not keeping the client in center and looking at your AUM growth will only lead you to forget there are a lot of things which are there. Asset allocation, we heard about that in the previous session. Fixed income, I don't know why we don't talk about debt funds. Create your business model which has got fixed income also as part of the portfolio. I keep hearing that fixed income money comes in hybrids. Please don't sort of mix both of things. Whenever you give equity in a particular product, the investor's mindset gets into risk. That's why deposit growth is still happening. So have fixed income separate, hybrids are separate, passives are separate. You make your own asset allocation, but don't forget that the investor is in between and you have to connect with the investor's behavior. There are various minds in the investor today, please note. Legacy planning. I don't know how many of us in the room have even thought of how do I stay material for times to come. If you don't think as a corporate or a mid-corporate or a small corporate and don't form a team, don't build your own legacy, because the client is looking for that. I was in a forum day before yesterday, Network FP, and we were doing a panel discussion. I asked the gentleman whom I was interviewing, what makes the client think that I should go to Finnovators? Finnovators was the distributor there. He said the client looks at how I planned my legacy, because my money and my family's money is going to be forever. Is your business going to cater to me forever? So legacy planning is for yourself first to do, and then we look at the client's legacy planning. Now I'll just get into a few, last two slides of my presentation. Which is the most retail brand, snack brand in India? Retail snack brand, which we munch every time. Huh? How many of us said Haldiram? Known to everyone, right? And someone, you mentioned? You also mentioned Haldiram, right? So Haldiram is the brand which is there. What is, let's see the story of Haldiram. Bikaner, 1937, small city. I'm just related to your business. Small city gets into a basic, snacking, increasing the network. See how the transition has happened. They did not remain old. They changed to old to new. They had impediments in between. You see how they are competing and how big they have become now that global brands want to pick them up, etc., etc. That is separate. But the size and scale, because they saw consumerism in India, they adapted to the need of the market and they have created their own niche. And now it's in our mind, right? I just spoke about snack and Haldiram came on top of the mind. So what they have done, product innovation, marketing excellence, packaging innovation. In our business, innovation is important, but keeping the client in mind. Global expansion. They went abroad. Why don't you, if we are successful in Chennai, who stops us from going every part of India and expand our business? There are distributors who are doing that. Let's take the next example. Everyone knows about this brand? We all eat dosa? Have you all studied how this brand has created a household sort of a name? Same thing again. From a small location, they expanded, they have expanded. Imagine how they have customized their needs to a consumer and they have created a basic batter to a household requirement with packaging in front of us. What did they do? They built trust. I think trust is very important. When it is a food item, both in Haldiram and in our case, in this brand, trust is very important. Without trust, no one will buy. Deep focus on product innovation. See, similarities between these two brands are more or less similar. Choosing the right partners, very important. Packaging, emotional advertising, and digital presence. Digital, the world is digital. We are all talking about digital. And this is what happens to this brand. It becomes a large entity. So why I'm giving these examples to all of us, we are small and entrepreneurs in our own space. If you have to think big in the next 10, 15, 20 years, put all those practices, what I explained, into your workplace. I'm sure many of us will become very successful entrepreneurs in the years to come, and many of these may become brands. Some of them are, sitting in the room are brands. Let me show you some examples. Some of the brands are here. I have Gajendra here, who is also a brand. We are very proud to have him as part of our mutual fund industry. I have not told him that I'm going to show his name here, but the names who are here are all have created businesses which have got differentiated approach to them and keeping the client in between. You read through. Most of them have got different business models. Some of them will have overlaps, but the idea was to become big, either from a small city or from a large city, but thinking big. I think all of us in this room have to start making your businesses large in times to come. Some more examples here, and this number can keep increasing because we keep doing that study in the market as to who is creating differentiation. So that's from my side today. Thank you very much. I hope you all will make these learnings and make your businesses large in 10 years' time. Thank you very much.